In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Shrek franchise to the Men in Black franchise. The reason why I'm comparing these two franchises is that now that I'm on part 2, bracket 2 of this series that I'm doing, where I'm comparing different franchises, in part 1, I compare the Shrek franchise to the Matrix franchise, the Shrek franchise 1, and then I compared the Men in Black franchise to Sony's Spider-Man universe, Men in Black 1. So now that I'm on part 2 or bracket 2, what I'm doing is pitting the franchises that won in the previous part of this series, the previous bracket, against each other. So in the first video of bracket 2, I compared the Toy Story franchise to the Kingsman franchise. Now I'm going to compare Shrek and Men in Black. When you look at highest score for each franchise, the original Men in Black is a 91%, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish has a 95%. When you look at lowest score, the newest MIB movie, International, only has a 23%. Shrek the Third is the lowest score out of the Shrek movies, it has a 42%. When you look at average, Shrek has an average of 76, MIB has an average of 54. When you look at gap between lowest and highest score, you got a gap of 53 in the case of Shrek, and you have a gap of 68 in the case of MIB. So, sure, MIB wins this one round, but Shrek won 3 rounds, so it's going to win. And in this case, I would easily say that I prefer the Shrek franchise to the Men in Black franchise. Of course, the original Men in Black is a great movie. Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith play against each other really well. The dynamic between them is very engaging. The story there is compelling. It's interesting to get introduced to the world of Men in Black, learn about the organization, the action's well done. I think visually speaking, the movie holds up well. There's solid humor in the movie. I don't really have a lot of problems with it. But after that, things have not been as good. I think Men in Black 2 is an underwhelming sequel to the first film. The villain is not very interesting. The specific way they bring Agent Key back into the story after his mind was wiped at the end of the first film isn't very good. So overall, I don't really enjoy Men in Black 2. I think Men in Black 3 was a solid return to form for the franchise. I actually enjoy that film. I like it's a time travel story. I like that we're exploring Agent Key's past, seeing what happened there. I think there are good visuals, there's really good acting, but then I have not seen Men in Black International. It doesn't really interest me as it comes off as pretty generic, and also I think you feel the absence of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, who were really good in those first 3 movies. Heck, even in the second film, they're still giving good performances. When it comes to the Shrek franchise, honestly, I enjoy almost all these films. Shrek the Third is the only one out of these 6 that I actually don't like. Sure, when you look at Shrek Forever After, I do think that Shrek is saying to Fiona, "I wish that I had never rescued you from the Dragon's Keep," isn't very strong. What I mean here is that I think Shrek goes too far in this part of the movie. I get that Shrek doesn't like that he's living a domestic life now. He misses the old days when people feared him. He feels overwhelmed by the responsibility of being a parent. So I get why Shrek is frustrated, but I think he goes too far. This is just too mean spirited without it actually feeling earned. And then, even beside that, the movie's not as fresh as the previous Shrek films. It can feel a bit played out, but I still actually enjoy Shrek Forever After. I like that it's a story exploring Shrek looking at this alternate version of reality where he wasn't born, and thus because of that he develops an appreciation for the life that he has. It really harkens back to that old saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And that's the case with Shrek. He's overwhelmed, frustrated at the beginning of the movie, and at first he thinks that this is exactly what he wants. This alternate version of reality is fantastic. I'm going to be happy here. But then he sees how people that he knows, like Fiona or Puss in Boots, are not doing well without him. I mean, Fiona's the leader of this resistance, but the ogres are not at all in a good place. That's very unfortunate for Fiona as she's seeing the plight of her fellow ogres and how they're being horribly mistreated by Rumpelstiltskin. So Shrek by the end realizes he wants his old life back. He wants to be with his wife and kids again, and thus he goes back a lot happier than he was previously. Also, I think there's solid humor in this movie. I think there are good visuals. There's action that's enjoyable, especially in the third act. So I still like Shrek Forever After, even if it's not as strong as the first two movies. Shrek 2 in particular is fantastic, I would say. It tells a really engaging story. The voice acting is great. The songs are very memorable. There's solid humor in here. The emotional moments hit hard. The first film's quite good as well. I like that it really has edge to it. This is an anime movie with bite to it that's not dumbing everything down for the kids. There's some dark humor in here. Like Shrek and Fiona turning animals into balloons, or Fiona blowing up the birds and then cooking eggs right after that. Or Shrek joking about how Rumpelstiltskin is clearly compensating for something. Quite an adult joke to put in there. And I think both Puss in Boots movies are good. In particular, Last Wish is actually fantastic. I mean, the animation here really stands out. It's very memorable and interesting. I mean, when you look at a Pixar movie like Luca, for example, of course the animation is very well done. It's not in any way bad, but is it interesting animation? No, it doesn't stand out the way that The Last Wish does. Or you go, this is interesting the way they're animating everything that has this more 2D look to it. The journey that Puss in Boots goes on, this movie is very compelling. The story is really interesting. The wolf is a memorable and frankly scary villain. There's good action in here. There's both solid moments of humor and emotional moments that hit really hard. I honestly can't think of anything that bugs me about this movie. So I think that overall the Shrek franchise has definitely been a lot more consistent than the Men in Black franchise has been. I mean, you could argue that the original movie is better than any of the Shrek movies. I could totally see that, but overall, there's more movies in the Shrek franchise that I actually enjoy when compared to Men in Black. So I'm definitely choosing Shrek, and thus that'll wrap things up for this video.